We're going to call this meeting to order. I guess I'm supposed to read this because apparently we're going to be on TV. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast via our local cable access channel, WCAT, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know. I don't really quite know about the Zoom thing because usually Derek does that for those meetings. Anyways, so welcome everybody. We do have a sign-in sheet. If you didn't sign it in, please do before you go. We tonight have John O'Leary and it's Weston and Sampson. I didn't want to say it in reverse. Weston and Sampson with us. And we are going to, I propose, Jesse, that we skip some of our normal things and go back to them since they are here, so they don't have to wait through other regular business, and that we skip down to the Town Common Improvement Project.
That works for me.
Are you agreeable to that?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye, Jesse Sweeney.
Aye, Sue Ramsey. So, John, do you have something, would you like to explain where we're at?
Yeah, absolutely, I can do that. So I'm John O'Leary, Principal Planner at the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. Good to see everyone again. So tonight, the Weston and Sampson team will be presenting some conceptual designs based on the feedback that was received at a previous meeting where we walked the site at the Town Common. And this is just an opportunity for that to gain some feedback based on what they put together to date. With the hopes to give them direction moving forward to finalize the design plans. With that, I'll introduce Weston Sampson team.
Perfect. My name is Farah Dakak. I'm a landscape architect at Weston Sampson, and I've got with me.
Hi, I'm Bichun Wong. I'm a landscape designer from Weston Sampson.
Welcome.
Thank you. Should we? Yep.
Sure, we would love to hear what you've come up with.
Awesome. I guess we pulled together some existing conditions and sort of historic background information on the common based on some information we got from the town and sort of just information that we found online, but also from the Historic Commission.
Sylvia?
Yes, Sylvia. Okay, good. I don't want to say the wrong person's name. From Sylvia specifically, she provided, the last time we were here in this room back in December, a really, really considerate and well-written write-up about the history of the town common, and that has been really great to read through and use for just our information. So here we've got sort of a timeline of the project, a timeline of the site, sort of where it started, the history of the site. Some of it is about the history of the town as well as the Hitchcock fountain that's out there, and just more site information. We wanted to pull it together so that we have it as a reference and think that we all can acknowledge that anything we do should take into account the history of the site. That's very important. from that meeting that we had back in December, in this room, we came up with some key considerations and recommendations that we heard from the community in here. We thought that those fell under two large, broad categories: honoring the history and preserving the character of the site, and then enhancing the functionality and accessibility of the site. So over on this side, we have our, retaining the mature trees, renovating off the gazebo, incorporating the 4 historic bridge lights that are dated from 1938, and just preserving the general historic character of the park, of the common that exists out there, which includes, your tree canopy, your natural material, and the gentle slopes that are present out there today. And then from enhancing functionality, we heard that there used to be events that got held out here that maybe could be helped by some minor interventions, addressing some of the accessibility issues and the pathways, and bringing those up to sort of modern day standard. We heard from a lot of folks about ongoing parking issues, and I think we'll try to look at how we can address that. I think that historic and then the parking issues, there's some clash there that we'll need to kind of figure out how to address, or at least, at the very least, we acknowledge that a lot of people brought up the issue of parking within the town center. And then, we heard from some folks about fencing along the railroad tracks and how that could be just renovated and brought up to give a nicer view that you look at. And then flower gardens would be great to enhance the site. From there, we kind of just pulled together this plan that shows, the existing trees that are out there right now, the number of existing parking spots. So there's 11 total parking spots that are out there right now, and kind of just looked at the, we got a survey done for the site, and from that we can see that this area over here, which is currently pretty wooded, it has a really, really steep slope, and I think part of the wooded vegetation that's out there is helping hold back that slope too. So we kind of have to acknowledge that and understand that condition is there for a reason. There's the gazebo, the location of, at the moment, the site's usable and kind of paved space is just in this one corner. And so the concepts that we look at how we can expand and accommodate some of the events that want to be held there, but also acknowledge that people want to use it on a day-to-day basis. People want to take a lunch out there and sit down and be able to do that as well. So with that, we could talk through the two concepts that we came up with for the site, and hopefully we can sort of, the hope is that we'll get a bunch of feedback tonight. We can, continue hearing feedback from folks who couldn't make it tonight, and then we'll come up with one concept that we'll come back to present to everybody. So this first concept tries to keep in line with what's existing out there and enhance on it. So it's keeping in line with the history of what's out there, but then enhancing on it. So over here we add a pathway that takes you from the Hitchcock fountain all the way up towards the gazebo, and then back out to Main Street. And then we thought about another pathway that would take you past the flag, the existing flag, and takes you also back out to Main Street. So, and what that does is, in that space in between, it creates a central lawn space that people can gather at, and during events can be used as the main space for people to sit at and view the site. We heard from the working group a couple of weeks ago that they'd like to see an extension of the gazebo platform. And so we looked at how we could add that in and kind of found a precedent from Washington, from a gazebo out in, I believe it's called Everett, Washington, that has a similar look to that. And so trying to think through how that can be achieved. So what we heard was that the gazebo at the moment, its size is a bit small when performances want to be held on it. So just trying to think through how it can be expanded while, you know, being mindful of the site and its, you know, thing. And then I think we're thinking through how to add little flower gardens at the entrances and in pocket areas so that those can be maintained and sort of upkept and be a really nice feature of the site. And then I think we like how there are benches in along the you know, within the common all throughout. I think that's a very beautiful thing, and we're trying to just enhance on that and keep that as part of the scheme. And then thinking through how this area over here, which is where people currently gather for during events, can also house picnic tables and work with that. I think this might have been, I'll give this to you guys, it's a bit different from what you have, but not that much different.
So,
Yeah,
so
and then
this
the
is
second-
the second design options that we have. And it's like, this option is kind of harmonize the past and future. So in addition to the existing gazebo that we are keeping on site, we are adding another like amphitheater space with the new pavilion. And we have like a reference here as shown with like a big canopy, and people can have like their performance under this canopy. And on back of this amphitheater space, we can also like add a public restroom, which people like kind of have kind of strong sense on this one, because when there are kind of like a big public event, people really need that for like a more like convenient public space to use. And also like we are creating this space so people could kind of like sit here surrounded by a bunch of trees, both existing trees and the new trees we are gonna like plant. So they can like, we are just following the grading here, so people can just sit up on the small hill and look down to the platform. And for this side, you can see here, it's kind of like a linear space. We are gonna add kind of like stormwater management system with the rain garden. So when we were out on the side, we found like there is a kind of like spot there, gathering water there, so it is kind of like a low spot. So maybe it would be great to add like a rain garden here, so you can add some like plants, flowers there, and when there is like a big rain, it can also like gather water on the spot. So another big change for this design option is that we are changing the parking space here, which means that we are adding extra green space to the roadside, and they will like connect to the sidewalk, that the existing sidewalk there. But we are adding like more parking space alongside the railway. So like people, when there's like a big event, people can park here. And even if it's necessary that we can like close out the street for the public use, like weekend open market there. So it's kind of like multi-functional space that people can use. So we are also proposing like a roadway that can lead the car to exit to the main street. So these are some kind of like extra hard paving we are adding here. But we are also like adding the green buffer along this roadway, so people can like have the hard paving, but at the same time, the scene will still be like good in the park. Yeah, and also we are also adding like some picnic area here at the entrance of the common, so you can have like a accessible picnic area, and also in the center of this like lawn space, there will be like the existing memorial like fountain there. Yeah, so I think this is like basically what we have for the design opportunities that we are looking into, and yeah, I hope you guys like can have some feedback on these design options.
Yeah, I think the first concept was trying to keep in line with what's existing out there and just really just enhance on it a little bit. This concept is a bit more adventurous and bold, and tries to address more of the, like, you know, some more of the concerns. I think we didn't add any pathways in this area, so as you get closer to Main Street, because the grading past these set of trees and all the way up the hill, it's the grading just becomes too challenging to add accessible pathways. It can be done, it just would completely transform the site in a way that might just not be sensitive to the historic and to the kind of the existing site character. It just would require changing the site character a bit too much. So we kind of pulled away from doing that. You guys this one.
I like the
Can't
idea
really
of
see
parking
the-
and adding on to the gazebo with that.
Yeah, the
Area.
extension to the gazebo.
Look,
So,
do you see that, Dana? Not my
Yeah.
stuff. So I guess, is it possible, I kind of personally, I grew up in town, I think a lot of people, especially if they've been in town a long time, the look of the white gazebo is kind of what we're used to. But possibly like meshing a little bit of these two things. Because I think that the look of the last one, is it that one?
Yeah.
With the extension to the gazebo, I think that really is kind of neat.
Yeah. yeah,
And doing the parking, that would help
yeah.
with the pathway, with the exit, so we have two exits, like in and out, kind of.
Yeah. It will be one way, but what's the strength of that one is like you're gaining all this space that
In here.
used to be parking that isn't now.
And where the parking spots are is really not usable space at
It's
this
not.
point in time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it creates this walking loop that you could, you know,
Yeah,
sort of interesting. The gazebo access really does have to be from either this point or this point because of just accessibility.
There it
It's-
is.
It's kind of, and so in this scenario, we could keep the existing entrance into the gazebo, so this way, but we thought that it might make sense to switch it over
Shift it a little bit.
so that you come into the space like long ways, you know, so it's like the existing access is here. We were kind of thinking through how, if you reconfigure it, this space becomes more usable, because you're not coming in on the side of the park.
You're still looking to keep the ramp
Yes,
method?
yeah,
Yeah.
it would have to,
Yeah.
yeah, to give
Yeah.
accessibility. And I think the ramp is great, because it also allows
Yeah, you
water
got stairs
flow.
on one side and
And the
ramp
stairs
on
on
one side, so
exactly.
keep that.
So even in this concept, you could keep the wall where it is, you know, that's really it will be more cost, but it might be nicer, but it's not the end of the world if we don't reconfigure that. So,
We're just having a little discussion
Oh, yeah, of
about
course.
the amphitheater idea, which we love, but not sure it would look good where in that corner, if it would look too, I don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
be too obstructive.
The side of it, yeah, the size of it wants to be. We explored one option
Or if it
that
was
kind of put it.
over here, or
We
over
explored
here.
one option that put it, grading wise, it makes most sense to be here, somewhere in here. But I think it would just be too close to the existing, you know what I mean?
I
Like-
was thinking up here,
yeah,
because
you
it does
want
go
it to be
up,
all the
and then
way.
everybody could kind of see it,
Yeah.
but,
Interesting.
But I do like the idea of having bathrooms down there, and I
oh
think
yeah,
that,
it would
that
definitely be a plus.
is a problem when we have, not that we have a ton of events down there right now, but when we do, people are saying, where can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
I like
I
the
think
rain garden.
In both options, we're keeping the existing, the existing fountain and the existing flagpole where they are. I think it just keeps in keeps in character, but with that one, because you gain all this space in front, it kind of centralizes that, instead of it being an
It
entry
adds
point,
more,
it adds more to that Hitchcock.
and a lot of people
fountain.
like to be down there when we do events, they
Yeah.
stay down in that area, not really up.
Yeah.
Almost never up.
Yeah, and I wondered for this concept, if it made sense to, actually have the event space on this side.
On which side?
So
is
at
it?
the moment, the events, we're kind of thinking the events happen in this green space in that middle, but we did wonder if that should actually be here, and, because that's where
That
people
is where a
currently
lot
hang
of
out,
people, yeah.
so it's.
I think it's just we've tended to migrate into the flattest part of the common.
Of the site,
Which
yeah.
is
And around the
know.
gazebo.
closer to the train station, but- So I know there's not a lot of people in our audience to ask questions, but does anybody have any questions or any comments?
Well, the biggest thing I could see is making sure we have either a path or something that goes from that upper part along the fence. No matter what, I believe that would be from, because people always walk through there with their dogs and cross the common on that low side, at least with a path or something.
From this side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or for vehicles or.
Even if it was along where the road part, like where that access would be, right? You're
Yeah,
talking-
people would probably be walking that path, even if there's non-events along the fence.
Along the fence down here?
Yes.
Oh,
Except the other one, you had the road,
Oh,
the
yeah.
parking.
Yeah. So you're saying that if there was
Yeah,
an unofficial roadway, like a little
Yeah,
path,
yeah.
people would actually use it for walking their dog and kind
Yes.
of walking.
And
And
it would
people do
connect-
kind of
and it
cut
would
from
connect
by the
down to your
bridge
other-
down,
Down
right?
this way.
Yep.
Okay.
Through the, like
So
through.
that's kind of a strength for this, or at least the added roadway.
I actually love the seat wall on the lawn idea.
Yeah, I saw that in the first photo, and I was like, oh my
Especially, we
god,
do
that'd
have
be
spots
awesome.
in there that are lower and higher. I mean, even, just what a nice place that people could sit and gather and.
Some of our events, we add like, hay bales and stuff like that for seating, but it doesn't offer much.
Yeah.
And it's not
especially
permanent.
the
Yeah, it's not
long form in
permanent.
a common is very appropriate for putting this wall, people can sit there.
So John, where does that leave us with kind of the procedurally where we go forward from today?
Good question.
I think, I guess for us, we would like to gather feedback and then come back with one preferred concept. Maybe meet with the working group first, show you guys that concept, and then meet again
Like a
with
public
a
meeting?
public meeting again. That would be what we'd like to do. But of course, like, I guess, knowing that, well, first of all, we changed the concept slightly. It might be good for us to connect with the working group and even just email them
Right.
these slides and let them comment, have
Yeah,
them
exactly.
comment. And even if they wanna call me or, like, we can jump on a call and
Yeah,
have a conversation, because these, like, especially this one is a far departure from what we presented a couple of weeks ago. So I think that would be we'd like to have more feedback from the working group specifically, but also the general public, so if, I don't know how the town usually like disseminates the information out, if it's helpful to send, you know.
Do you mean as far as these kind of ideas?
Yeah. Like
Usually we
big
put a lot of
ideas.
stuff on Facebook
We do
and
for our
stuff like
park
that, for the
things.
Parks Department.
Yeah.
Or the neighborhood watch and stuff like that, but.
So I like parts of both of them, so.
Yeah,
Which is great.
So-
That's
There's
the whole
little
point,
bits of
right?
different ones that I'm like, oh, those would be awesome
We'll
together.
wrap one piece of one and the other piece of the other. I think it would be good to hear which parts of each one, you know, and
Do you want us to throw out kind of some ideas of what we like right now? I mean, I can tell you what I like.
and if the amphitheater location, we should just move it over and see if it works. We're happy to come and do that.
So I guess, I'll just speak for myself, so on design number 2, I like the multiple pathways in different parts, so I think that really ties, it gives people a purposeful place to go versus sort of just wandering across the grass. I like that. I like the parking in number 2.
Yep.
A lot.
Yep.
And I think that,
And then the amphitheater.
and then I
location.
think that one, I really like the, well, I also like,
Yes.
whichever one had the expanded gazebo, I
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like the
concept one.
amphitheater idea, I'm not sure I like it where it is, but I like the
Okay.
idea.
Yeah.
And then I definitely like those, the seawall idea in places where it made sense.
Yeah.
Do you wanna look at these so you can,
Yeah, I think I like a lot of that same stuff too, is definitely the parking spaces. That would solve some of the issues, not all of them, because it isn't a very large space. But, you know, it adds a lot more space.
and it gives us some green space back,
Yeah,
right in the.
and if we're
front
taking
part.
up that space for parking space and driving in between, that added space up on the front adds more space, so it kind of balances it.
Yeah.
And then I do like the expanding off of the gazebo, like that would be awesome, having more of a platform if we got rid of maybe some of the bushes that are kind of overgrown around it.
Yep.
And made more of a platform around it, we could do stuff out around it.
I also love the expanded gazebo. I love how it sort of closes in the bottom. Our gazebo is up pretty high, and I don't think the base of it looks particularly wonderful.
I think that's why
We
we put
see
the
electrical
plants.
panels, we see,
Yeah.
there are some plants, but I think that we could maybe make it look better.
So actually, like, the architecture of the side of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of, you know, in
Yeah.
that picture, it shows where it sort of looks like it's kind of all tied in together, and it kind of looks nice.
And I definitely like the idea of the bench, like like
The-
benches,
the
kind
seawall.
of, the walls, the seawalls, is that what it's
And the
called?
benches, I agree with the
Yeah.
benches too.
But yeah, because we've been trying to add more stuff, like we've been, the town has helped us with buying some benches and stuff, and we've talked about doing that again, just to start implementing them more, because we have them down at Dean Park and stuff, but I think we have a couple.
Well,
black
and we've been going
benches
to
down here.
the black,
3 of
the
those metal tables.
metal tables, they're less destructible, and,
They've been
They've been
Holding up very
working
good,
very
so,
well.
and they look nice, so, yeah.
Yeah, definitely seating has always been an issue down there.
I guess I wanted to ask about the metal, like, do people feel okay with metal because it's a maintenance, like it helps with maintenance and, they'll last longer
Jim,
versus, I
the
think what's
wooden
out there is
ones
sort of
get
more.
graffiti on them,
Yeah.
they rot over time.
Yeah.
So Jim has repaired many, he's painted a million.
Yeah.
So we have found that these just, and these just look nice.
Metal or that plasticky hard
Yeah, yeah.
Treck
Yeah.
maybe or something
Yeah.
looking. But
Yeah, yeah.
basically going away from any kind of wood.
Yeah,
Either way.
and I think too, sometimes, I think some of the metal, and there's just the black or something that's, isn't really a focus. Whereas we have some picnic tables of that red painted color, and they sometimes stick out, which I'm not sure they're a feature that looks great enough to want to spend my time looking at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's interesting how black just blends into the background.
Right, and you see it and it
without-
looks nice, and it can look kind of, you know,
Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
know, pleasing,
definitely.
but not the focus.
The gazebo, everybody loves, but if we were to update it or something, definitely doing some lights or something, and now that we have the sound system, if we have somewhere where we could, put the sound
Some
system.
sort of, yeah.
Cause we
place where
just
you could lock.
updated that, so that would be something that we would like to do.
Yeah, lighting for sure, you're right, the lighting
The
inside the
lighting,
gazebo
yeah.
is not the best.
Maybe around the park, maybe some lights so that we can expand
I mean,
when we
even
do
along the pathway.
along the pathway or
Tie
something.
those historic lights into.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but we're-
Yeah.
And we got,
So then that way, when
Sylvia
we
sent
do our
us-
night event and stuff like the tree lighting and stuff, we could have people down further in so that it's more spread out instead of all together in one
Yeah.
small spot. Cause sometimes we get hundreds of people down there.
Yeah.
The past few years, we've had really good
And we hope
turnout.
that if it was a little more user-friendly down there, we could host more things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any other-
bathrooms would definitely be a good idea and stuff, but if we did like an amphitheater or something, maybe if we did put it up a little further, I know that seems like it's not that great of a spot, but if everybody's kind of looking up towards it and it's up at that top where we don't use anything, maybe,
So it's flipping the switch to have it
kind of more up
and
there,
then you're looking up at it.
yeah.
I think what it does is, it's interesting, because I think like, if you're up looking down, you can sit against the slope.
Oh,
look
yeah, and
toward-
kind of, everybody can kind of stack down at it,
Yeah.
but if you're
If
looking
it's a
up, it's
standing
kind of,
event, you could do, looking up, because it's sort of not
Yeah.
as bad.
So
It
we'd
sounds
have to
interesting.
just
But
think
I would
about,
think about where
leveling
to
it or
position it.
something.
But
or-
it sounds like this location in this corner is just maybe not the right.
Yeah, because especially when the train is going through, it gets very loud right in there.
Yeah.
So even when we're doing like our tree lighting and stuff like that, it can get kind of loud when
Yeah.
the train's kind of going by.
Yeah.
but hard to tell. I I guess I didn't think about it. I mean, I'm gonna have to drive down there and kind of look at what do I think if there was a a structure
Building
there.
right there, yeah.
That took up some
Especially when you're
space,
coming
right.
over the bridge and you're coming into it, like what will you see?
What
Like,
will you see, right?
Yeah, I think part of why we tucked it into this spot is that you would have visual, you would be able to see it from Maple Street, and so it's sort of, from a site
Centralized.
security, it's a centralized, yeah, and sort of off to the side, but,
Insecurity
You
is an
can
issue.
see
We don't
through
really have, we have zero security
yeah.
down there. We do have vandalism sometimes.
even though we have the police station right there, they're
Be opportunity.
we
to
find
somehow
nip
figure out
bottles
some
and
surveillance
stuff and
system or
people that
something.
use it at night,
Yeah.
so we always worry about kind of
But
stuff
yeah,
like that.
we've talked about, and we revisit this a lot, is, if we had Wi-Fi, then we could maybe put in some sort of security system that would make sense.
Motion detector or something.
Um,
We do have signs that say from dusk till dawn, but people go in
That's
there at night, so it's like,
So, okay, so it sounds like we should, in this idea, just try to explore a different location for the amphitheater,
yeah.
that's maybe
And maybe right
further
in
in.
there.
Yeah, maybe right in
against,
there.
up
would-
against
Yeah.
where the,
Yeah, somewhere around there's like currently there's some plugs back there. There's a
yeah,
plug
where we
somewhere
used to
right
have
in there.
those small
Yeah, there's
trees.
some, there used to be a little tree line,
Sure.
but somewhere right in there would be probably your
Yeah.
spot for that.
Yeah, that
It
would
wouldn't
good.
be off the parking that you could keep that parking the same.
Yeah.
You just, yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you, I think that was more than I was thinking, that we would see today with some different ideas that weren't even talked about at the committee meeting, so
Yeah.
that's awesome.
even the rain thing, it would be a good idea if, if we already have the moisture kind of issue there,
Yeah.
it kind of
Just to
solves
design
it and kind
Yeah.
of, we don't have to go
Makes
out
it-
and water it as much, because whenever it does rain, it would,
It makes it look purposeful
Fill it
instead
in.
of just a soggy area. Well, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you, everybody. So we'll circulate this to the working group, we'll also send it to this town, just so in
Yes.
case anybody asks and wants to actually view these. I know some people are viewing online, but might just help with circulating, and any ideas that anybody thinks about after this meeting, we'd love to hear from people. And that way, in the next,
So if people have feedback, if anybody's watching and has feedback, you certainly can email the Parks Department. That's Parks and Rec, all lowercase, at warren-ma.gov. We will forward any comments that you may have and make sure you're abreast of any public meeting that gets scheduled in the future. Thank you.